Hi everyone, welcome to Gateway Lectures. Here we have solutions to the daily quiz day 3. And here is our first question. The back surface of a plate is heated at rate of 50 watt per meter square and the front surface is cooled at a rate of 50 watt per meter square. The thermal conductivity of the plate is constant, okay, and there is no heat generation within the plate. Considering one dimensional steady state heat transfer, which one of the following statements is correct? Okay, here there are two key terms in the question. One is being one dimensional. We know what is meant by one dimensional. Heat transfers only in one direction. There is no other dimension here. And what is meant by steady state heat transfer? Steady state, whenever we see a term called steady state, it is always with respect to time. If you see uniform, you generally will see in fluids. There it is with respect to space. So whenever we say steady state, it is with respect to time. What does steady state heat transfer mean? Suppose if it in a plate, we know that in the question given as 50 watt per meter square is being entering into the plate from one side. Then you consider a point at the surface. At t is equal to 0, 50 watt per meter square is entering. And also at t is equal to 10 seconds. After 10 seconds from 0 second, then also if you measure there, it should be 50 watt per meter square. Even after 1000 seconds, it should be 50 watt per meter square. So whatever be the time, the rate of heat entering in through the point per meter square should not be changed. It should be a constant value. The rate of heat transfer should be a constant value with respect to time. So that is called a steady state heat transfer. And see the options here. The problem is, so whatever the problem stated here, the condition of the problem stated here, the problem is physically consistent, and they're asking about the boundary value problem. Is it a well posed boundary value problem or it is an ill posed? Well posed mean, are the boundary value conditions sufficiently required to solve this question, to solve this question, or are there anything missing so that it is not ill posed? Posed mean giving the statement, whether the given statement is sufficient boundary value condition or it is insufficient boundary value condition. So we will check each condition, what is physically consistency and what is boundary value problem. So here we have our plate, and let this be our front, let this be our back surface. Since heat is being added there, let this be our back surface and this be our front surface. And it is said in question 50 watt per meter square is being entered. So Q, there it is given as heat flux. Let us suppose one dimensional along X, and heat flux is denoted by double dash, is equal to 50 watt per meter square is entering from the back side. And also Qx double dash is equal to 50 is cooling. Mean here we are heating, mean we are giving the heat flux. Here we are cooling, so we are removing the heat flux, and the same 50 watt per meter square is removing. Suppose this plate be our system. Just to analyze what is the energy content or what is the physical consistency of this problem. So I've represented it by a circle system. See, in system initially 50 watt per meter square is entering from one side. So what is the net into the system is plus 50. So we now with the system it is having 50 watt per meter square. Okay, in whatever be the time. Now again they have said from the front side. This is our front side. From the front side, 50 watt per meter square is leaving the system. So if it is leaving the system, then it is a loss to the system. That is nothing but minus 50. So what is the net remaining with the system? Nothing but plus 50 minus 50, that is equal to 0. So the system finally doesn't have any heat to sustain it. It doesn't have any heat in it. Whatever heat being entered, it is just leaving it to the front surface. So it is said that there is no heat generation within the system. If there is heat generation, sure the net will not be equal to 0. The net will be positive. But here net being 0 means there is no heat generation. So that is a statement given in the question. There is no heat generation. So our conclusion to this given statements, 50 watt entering and 50 watt leaving, and being no heat generation, we proved physically that there is no heat being entered because the net is being 0. So the problem is physically consistent. So the problem is physically consistent. So one in the options, one of the condition is finished. Now let us talk about boundary value problems. What does it mean by boundary value problem? Before knowing that, We'll take a small example. Suppose this is a surface and this is a block. On this block we are applying a constant force of F. This we will see in engineering mechanics. If we are applying constant force of F along x direction, there will definitely, when block is having some mass, there will definitely an acceleration developed along the x direction. Okay, if it is accelerating, suppose the block starts from rest, so t is equal to 0. At t is equal to 0, its velocity is 0. At t is equal to 10 seconds, maybe it might have a velocity of 10 meter per second. At t is equal to 20 seconds, sure it will have velocity that is greater than at 10 seconds, because as long as it is accelerating, its velocity will keep on increasing. In the same way, here in our question, the heat flux entering and heat flux leaving was given, but they did not mention anything about the temperature variation in the block. So there will be few possibilities. One, the temperature on the surface can be constant, then the temperature distribution will be in some other pattern. Two, the second case can be the temperature at the surface may be varying, same as this block. As we are giving a constant heat flux of 50 watt per meter square, as long as we are giving heat flux, the temperature of the surface may keep on increasing. Okay, this can also be a condition. One condition can be the temperature of the surface being constant. The other condition can be the surface being adiabatic. Even that can also be possible. The surface being adiabatic. The third one will be the surface temperature, whatever being, is increasing with heat flux, increasing with time. So discussing about the heat transfer equation. Generally, heat transfer equation for a one dimensional is a second order differential equation. General heat conduction equation is second order differential equation. There in the second order differential equation, one order will be due to time and the other order will be due to space. So we need two boundary conditions to solve any coordinate on this heat condition equation. Suppose if you want to solve any condition, you need two conditions to it. So if you want to solve at any point, any coordinate, suppose this is our coordinate, at coordinate A, at coordinate B, at coordinate C, whatever be the coordinates, we definitely need two boundary conditions, one for time and one for space. Thus heat conduction equation, since it is a second order differential equation, we need two conditions. In the same way, the boundary condition in heat transfer are generally divided into three kinds, and they are named as the first kind. The first kind is called as Dirichlet equation. Dirichlet condition or equation, anything. Generally it is called as Dirichlet condition. What is meant by this Dirichlet condition? Dirichlet condition states that at x is equal to 0, that is at the surface, x is equal to 0 means this is x is equal to 0 at this surface, the surface temperature is constant. The surface temperature is constant. So this surface temperature is being constant, and then the temperature varies in any manner. Since we are giving heat flux from this direction, maybe temperature being constant on the surface, and it may reduce while moving towards x. So here the temperature is a function of x comma t. Okay, so this is the condition for constant surface temperature. And the second kind talks about heat flux. Here this first kind only talks about temperature behavior. It talks only temperature behavior. So the first kind talks only about the temperature behavior. And coming to the second kind is called as, in this space I am writing the second kind. See, in the first kind we have said that for second order differential equation of heat equation, we need two conditions. But for the boundary condition, we fixed one of it, that is x is equal to 0. So we fixed x is equal to 0. Now we are talking about time. So with respect to time, this will vary. Now we are talking at the boundary. So this is our boundary. At the boundary we are talking about. Okay, at x is equal to 0, if Ts can be constant, that is called as first kind, and it is called as Dirichlet equation. And at that Dirichlet equation, we can write as the condition as T of 0, that is x is equal to 0, comma T is equal to Ts, nothing but T surface. So the temperature at x is equal to 0 and with respect to any time, that small t can be any value, the temperature of the surface will always remain constant. That is our first kind, that is our Dirichlet condition. And the second condition is called as Newman condition. The second condition is called as Newman condition, and this talks about, here Dirichlet condition talks about temperature behavior, but this Newman condition talks about heat flux condition, or heat flux behavior. Simply we can call it as heat flux behavior, right? So what this heat flux behavior is in the Newman condition, and here I've thought of discussing one point. How can we achieve this Dirichlet condition? How can we keep the surface temperature constant? We can do it by several ways, but one of the main ways is phase change operation. What are the phase change operations? Melting any solid, or boiling any liquid, etc., being any phase change condition. Why phase change condition? Because we know in phase change condition, even if you are giving heat, the temperature doesn't change, because the phase change is a constant temperature, constant pressure process. So at the phase change, the temperature will always remain constant. So if we keep a melting solid in contact with this surface, or a boiling liquid in contact with the surface, then their temperature will remain always constant. So in that way we can keep the surface temperature constant. And coming to the second kind, Newman condition, it is they discuss about the heat flux behavior. The first case in that is fixed or constant heat flux. Fixed or constant heat flux. What does it mean? That is mentioned in our question. It is said that in our question, the back surface of the plate is heated at 50 watt per meter square. It is said 50 watt, but they did not mention whether it is a constant 50 watt meter square or will it increase with the time. And also they mention steady state heat transfer. So we can assume it as fixed condition. Nothing but fixed heat flux. So here we will be giving a heat flux value, say suppose 50 watt meter square. Right. Now by Fourier's law, this Qx can be written as minus k dou t by dou x at x is equal to 0. Here also we are taking the boundary condition only. Fixing one value, we can get the boundary condition. X is equal to 0 is equal to Qx dash. Here if in the question k is known, Qx is already known 50, then we can find dou t by dou x at x is equal to 0. That is a boundary condition required to solve the heat transfer equation. So this is our first condition, fixed or constant heat flux. This is a part of second kind, boundary condition. And here also temperature will vary, and here also temperature is a function of x comma t. How can we achieve this fixed or constant heat flux? What are the ways to achieve that? One, we can use an electrical heater. A thin film electrical heater can be used. What will the thin film electrical heater do? Electrical heater takes a constant supply of electricity. At the same time, it delivers a constant supply of heat. If it is delivering a constant supply of heat, then it can be called as constant heat flux. And special case of this Newman condition, and it is point 2, and it is called as adiabatic or insulated surface. What if our surface is adiabatic or insulated? So among the second kind, this is a special case, adiabatic or insulated. So this surface is being insulated. We know if it is insulated, we can't give any heat. So the temperature dou t by dou x at x is equal to 0 will be 0. That is, at x is equal to 0, the variation of temperature will always remain 0. Means it will not change at all. And it is the maximum value. If one surface is insulated, then it will have the maximum temperature. So our temperature decreases in this way. Here also our temperature is a function of space and time. Right. This is the case of adiabatic or insulated. But in our question, it is not the case. So one of the boundary condition we've got in our question is this. About heat flux. Next, we'll also discuss the third kind. Okay. The third kind. There are three kinds of boundary value conditions here in heat transfer. First kind is called Dirichlet condition, where it talks about temperature behavior. The second kind is called Newman condition, where it talks about heat flux behavior. The third kind, it doesn't have any name, but it can be called as convective surface condition. Convective surface condition. Convective surface condition. What does this convective surface condition mean? Here we'll have a convective medium outside close to the surface of the plate, which is having some temperature of T infinity. Okay, and our plate will have a temperature on the surface as T of 0 comma T. That is nothing but at x is equal to 0, it is T of 0 comma T. In the same way, here our temperature will also vary again with the function of x and t. So outside film, whatever we have is convective nature, h comma t infer. Now by surface energy balance, what does the surface energy balance mean? The surface energy balance mean is whatever heat is convected, it must be equal to the heat conducted. So whatever heat is convected, nothing but h into T infinity minus T of 0 comma T should be equal to whatever this is the heat convected, and that should be equal to the heat conducted. That is nothing but minus K dou T by dou X at x is equal to 0, and this is our condition. Okay, this is the surface energy balance. So there are three conditions in our heat transfer, but in our given question they told about heat flux. They mentioned about heat flux, and we can select this option because it is a constant heat flux. So if we select about a heat flux variation, then these both options can be ruled out. But they did not mention anything about the temperature behavior of the plate, whether it is being constant or it is increasing with heat flux. Anything was not mentioned in the question. So one of the possibility of boundary condition is not mentioned. So the question is not properly posed problem about the boundary condition. Here if you want to calculate the temperature distribution, we can't calculate because we don't know the behavior of temperature on the surface. We don't know whether at surface it is having constant temperature or it is having a variant temperature. It should be mentioned in the question. So in this question, the correct answer will be physically consistent. Yes, we have proved physically consistent, but it is an ill-posed boundary value problem. So this is our answer. We have taken around 17 minutes for solving this question, but this is a excellent, highly conceptual question. These type of questions are being asked in interviews. That is the reason why I put this question here. This is an excellent question. With a calm mind, try to understand what we have discussed, or else if you have any material regarding this, you can understand this, because this will help you in interview. In interview, they will give this question and tell about these boundary conditions. So you should remember this. These are the possible boundary conditions. In this question, they talked about in the problem given, they've said about the heat flux. 50 was given in the value, so we assumed it as a constant heat flux. So about the heat flux, the condition was given, but about the temperature behavior, we don't know anything. Whether the surface temperature will remain constant or will it change. Okay, Newman conditions are being satisfied, but the Dirichlet condition is not being satisfied here. Okay, therefore some boundary value conditions are missing here. To assume some boundary value condition, we don't have any choice here. Therefore the question is not properly posed. If in question, if it is said the surface is having a constant temperature of, say, suppose of 30 degrees centigrade or 50 degrees centigrade, then sure this condition is a well posed problem. Okay, now we'll go to the second question. Second question here. Generally heat transfer questions are easy, but only for interview they will be a little bit logical. Except in GATE and ESC examinations, these heat transfer questions are very easy. They are straight to the point. Okay, here the question is a solid cylinder of length 5 cm and radius 1 cm, made of alloy, and the alloy is having thermal conductivity of 100 watt per meter Kelvin, is kept in an ambient having heat transfer coefficient of 20 watt per meter square Kelvin. Okay, then the Biot number is, when we'll talk about the Biot number, and also when if the both the top and bottom surface are well insulated, what does it mean? The circular area, cross section area which the cylinder will have in this question, they are completely insulated. Okay, so heat transfer only in one direction. Okay, here when we'll use the Biot number, generally Biot number significance will be used to do an analysis of lumped system. So lumped mass analysis. We do the Biot number. We'll check the Biot number. If the Biot number is less than 0.1, then it is suitable for lumped mass analysis. So here we'll solve the question. Here we did not ask about the analysis, but just said to calculate the Biot number. We'll do it. So this is the question given. This is a cylinder, and two sides of the cylinder is insulated. These were the insulated parts. These were insulated. They said top and bottom, we just laid it horizontally. They both were insulated. So they're asking Biot number. So what does Biot number means? Biot number, the formula is HLC upon K, and the LC is called characteristic dimension. Okay, and that LC will be generally given as volume upon surface area. Okay, here in the question, what is the volume of the cylinder? We know volume of the cylinder is pi r square L. And what is the surface of area of this cylinder? Leaving the insulated surfaces, insulated top and bottom, or insulated side circular cross sections. Leaving them, it will be 2 pi r L, 2 pi r into L. So when we solve this, we get it as r by 2. So now we will calculate the Biot number. Biot number is equal to h r by 2 upon k. That is equal to, the value of h is given in the question. Value of h is given in the question, 20 watt per meter square. And the value of k is given as 100, and radius is given as 1 centimeter. So h is given as 20 watt per meter square. Since it is in meter, we will also write the radius in meter. 1 centimeter is nothing but 0.01 meter upon 2 divided by 100 watt per meter Kelvin. And then we will get the answer as 0.001. This is our Biot number. Right, this is our answer. Third question. A stagnant liquid film of 0.4 mm thickness is held between two parallel plates. The top plate is maintained at 40 degrees centigrade and the bottom plate is maintained at 30 degrees centigrade. If the thermal conductivity of the liquid is 0.14 watt per meter Kelvin, then the steady state heat flux is, assuming one-dimensional heat transfer. So this is our top plate and this is our bottom plate. The top plate is having a temperature of 40 degrees centigrade and the bottom is having a temperature of 30 degrees centigrade. In between there is a fluid film, liquid film, and its thermal conductivity is given as 0.14 watt per meter Kelvin. And they were asked to calculate steady state heat flux. So we know by Fourier law, heat flux is given as Q double dot or Q by A is equal to K into delta T upon delta X. Since it is a one-dimensional, we will take X directly. From that, what is the value of K? 0.14. And what is the value of delta T? Between the top and bottom, it is the delta T is 10 degrees centigrade. And what is the value of X? 0.4 mm. Nothing but 0.4 into 10 power minus 3. Right. From that, we will get the value of heat flux. Steady state heat flux as 3500 watt per meter square, and this is our answer. Going to the fourth question. In a composite metal ABC, respective thermal conductivities are temperature independent. So the thermal conductivities are generally, they depend on temperatures also, generally for materials. But in our heat transfer applications, in our heat transfer syllabus, we take it as a constant value. The same is mentioned in the question. The thermal conductivity is independent of temperature and they are related in between, means at suppose in A section, in B section and C section. Among them, the thermal conductivity relations was given. Ka is less than Kb and also Kb is greater than Kc. The steady state heat flux distribution is shown in the figure. So this is a figure given. This is a steady state heat flux distribution among A, B, C sections with respect to X. Okay, and there are options. The steady state heat flux was given, and they were asking steady state temperature distribution. So heat flux distribution was given in A, B, C. What will be the temperature distribution in A, B, C? Okay, just we'll solve it. We know by Fourier law, the heat flux, suppose along one dimensional, is given as minus K into dt upon dx. Right. Now we will take our first section, or in the A section. we'll take the A section. In the A section, if you can observe, this is the A section and it is a straight line variation, and also in the negative heat flux here. Here this is the origin here, and above this will be positive, and below this it will be negative. So it is a negative heat flux value, and also it is constant with respect to x. Since it is negative, so minus qx is equal to minus k into dt by dx. Therefore dt by dx is, so whatever dt by dx is, since qx is having some value and k is also having some value, dt by dx is greater than 0 in the A section. Similarly, we'll take the B section. If you can observe in the diagram, even B is also same. It is varying linearly and also in the negative direction. So therefore minus qx double dot is equal to minus, let this be ka and let this be kb. Dt by dx, this is in A and this is in B. Here also dt by dx in B we are getting it as 0. And next third we'll check. Third is also along C, it is varying linearly. Along C it is varying linearly, and again it is a negative direction only. Therefore same along C also, minus qx double dot is equal to minus kc into dt upon dx at C. Therefore here also dt upon dx at C is greater than 0. Right. Therefore now we have to come to a conclusion. Now we'll take the AB interface. AB interface. We know what happens between AB interface. The heat flux should be the same. Suppose we are having a slab of A and there is another slab of B. Suppose heat is being transferred. Then at this interference, at that interface, the heat flux should be constant value. Whether it may be from A to B or B to A, the heat flux should be the same. Therefore we equate qx double dot in A is equal to qx double dash in B. Right, from that we'll get ka dt by dx at A is equal to kb dt by this condition, whatever we did, dt by dx, this is just to know the gradient, what type of gradient here, whether we are having a positive gradient or negative gradient. But from here we will get to know what is the variation of heat gradient, variation of temperature gradient in between this A, B, C. So, and dt by dx at B. In the question it is given as Ka is less than Kb. If Ka is less than Kb, if you just simply substitute here and simplify, we'll get that dt by dx in A is greater than dt by dx in B. Similarly, you take the BC interface. Similarly, we take the BC interface. Here also heat flux in B must be equal to heat flux at the interface in C. Therefore Kb dt by dx at B is equal to Kc dt by dx at C. And also in question it is given that Kb is greater than Kc. Therefore we got here condition. Here also we'll get a condition that dt by dx at B is less than dt by dx at C. So now we got the variations among, now we got the type of variation among A, B, C. Now we'll see. Now in the question we were asked the temperature distribution steady state with respect to x. First you take about the condition of A. If heat flux is varying constantly, then our temperature will vary linearly. We know that generally, suppose if this is our slab, in this slab it is said that there is a constant heat flux. If it is a constant heat flux, we know the temperature will vary. If the heat flux to be constant, this surface temperature along this side, let be the surface 1 and let this be surface 2 T2. If heat should be transferred in this direction, then T1 should be greater than T2. That is, the T1 should decrease in a linear fashion. For keeping the heat flux constant, the temperature should decrease in a linear fashion. So whenever the heat flux is constant, see here the heat flux is constant, here the heat flux is constant, but here the heat flux is linearly varying. So when heat flux is constant, temperature distribution is a linearly varying quantity, and here also the heat flux is constant, so the temperature distribution is a linearly varying quantity. But here in C, the heat flux is linearly varying, then our temperature will be a parabolic distribution, parabolic variation with respect to x. Temperature will be a parabolic variation with respect to x. So first in A we got that heat temperature distribution is a linearly varying. So when it is linearly varying, we will draw a line and we'll say it as A. And next, this is the slope, let be theta A. We know from the question we got theta A is greater than theta B. Therefore, the second B part should have a slope less and it should be linearly varying. So we will decrease the slope. Here if you can observe, this is the theta B, the decreased slope. Theta A is greater than 0 here. Theta A is greater than theta B. Since the gradient at A is greater than gradient at B. And next, in the third C part, it is a linear variation of heat flux. If it is a linear variation of heat flux, then our temperature variation will be a parabolic condition. So here it is a parabolic condition. It will be a parabolic. Whatever be the curve, it will be a parabolic. Okay. So this is our answer, and we'll check which option we have. In this question, if you can observe, A is having less slope than B, but we know A should have more slope than B, so this is not an answer. And here 3 were having linear variation, so this is also not our answer. Here B is having a parabolic variation, then this is our not an answer. Then we are left with this. This is A and this is B and this is C. So this is our answer. Next we will go to the fourth question. Water enters a thin walled tube having a length of 1 meter and diameter of 3 mm. Right. At an inlet temperature of 97 degrees centigrade and mass flow of 0.015 kg per second. The tube wall is maintained at a constant temperature of 27 degrees centigrade. Given the following data for water. So for the water here being the fluid, the data was given, density was given, viscosity was given, specific heat was value also given, and the inside heat transfer coefficient between the tube and water is also given. Then they are asking to calculate the outlet temperature. Okay, it's a simple question. These type of questions will be asked in many examinations. So we'll just solve this. This is our temperature variation. This being in water, this variation is in water with respect to length, and this being in the tube. And it is said that the tube is having a constant temperature of 27 degrees centigrade. So the tube temperature doesn't change. Whatever be the cooling or heating anything, the tube temperature doesn't change. But how does we maintain the tube temperature constant? Many will have a doubt. That by using heat exchangers. So outside the tube we will keep a heat exchanger. Suppose if inside the tube it is cooling, then we will supply heat to the heat exchanger to maintain the tube temperature 27 degrees centigrade. If suppose inside the tube it is heating, then we will extract heat from the heat exchanger such that to maintain the temperature of the tube like 27 degrees centigrade. And our water being entering at 97 degrees centigrade, and let T be the temperature where it is exiting, where it is leaving out. Okay, now here if you can observe, when we are having suppose we are having a plate at 100 degrees centigrade and fluid at 20 degrees centigrade, both are fixed temperatures. If you can observe here, the heat transfer will happen from 100 to 20 among the fixed temperatures. But here the temperature is varying at each point. Here it is between 97 and 27. But here it may be with 95 and 27. Here it may be with 80 and 27. Here it may be with 50 and 27. And so on. So at each and every point, the temperature values are being changed. Therefore, here the rate of heat is not constant. It is varying, or the temperature difference is not constant. It is a varying term. So to calculate heat, we need temperature difference. But here the temperature difference is being varied. So how can we do that? So for that we've defined a term called LMTD, logarithmic mean temperature difference. And that value is said as delta LMTD is given as, suppose here we are having 97 degrees centigrade and this temperature is 27 degrees centigrade. These both are parallel flow heat exchangers. In question nothing is mentioned about the direction. We assume it as parallel flow heat exchangers or parallel flow heat interactions. and here it is having some temperature T and it is having some temperature 27 degrees centigrade, and here the temperature difference between the hot fluid and hot substance and cold substance is 97 minus 27, nothing but 70, right? But here we see, whatever we do, the water temperature can't be less than 27 degrees centigrade. It should be somewhere close to 27 or maybe greater than 27. So that is why here the theta 2 value will be T minus 27, not 27 minus T, right? So therefore the delta LMTD is given by theta at inlet minus theta at outlet, nothing but the temperature differences between hot and cold interactions divided upon logarithmic, here natural logarithm of theta at inlet upon theta at outlet, right? So what is the value of theta at inlet? 70 minus what is the theta at outlet? T minus 27 divided by what is the value of ln 70 upon T minus 27. Okay, keep this aside. Now don't solve anything, just keep this aside. Now we'll do the energy conservation here. Energy conservation between the hot and cold substances. Heat will be lost by water because water is at high temperature. It is coming in interaction with the low temperature tube. So heat lost by water must be equal to the heat gained, not by pipe. Here pipe is not gaining the heat. We are keeping the pipe temperature constant using some external support like heat exchanger. So heat gained by, it can be heat exchanger, it can be an electrical device, anything. So heat gained by the device keeping the pipe temperature constant. So whatever may be the device, it gains the heat. Whatever the heat is lost by water, pipe doesn't gain anything because pipe being at 27 degrees fixed temperature, whatever being the device maintaining the pipe temperature constant, that will gain the heat, keeping the pipe temperature constant. Understood? Now we'll apply heat balance. So what is the heat lost by water? Nothing but mCp of water into delta T, that is equal to, this is the change in temperature of water, that is equal to heat gained. So how will the heat be interacted with the outer device? It should be done by convection process only. So for convection, we are given convection heat transfer coefficient, and also the area of the pipe will be known, into delta T, but here the delta T is delta LMTD, right? So mass was known, but here actually it is mass flow rate, so m dot. So mass flow rate was known 0.015 into the value of Cp of water is 4.18 kilojoule per kg, 4.184 into the delta T value is 97 minus T, and that is equal to the value of H given in the question is 12978 into the area is nothing but pi dl. So pi into the diameter is 3 mm into the length is 1 meter. So diameter is 3 mm, 3 into 10 power minus 3 into L is 1 meter into LMTD. LMTD is 70 minus T minus 27 upon ln 70 up by T minus 27. If you can observe here in the right side, 70 minus T minus 27 is nothing but 97 minus T. If you 70, you send the minus inside, minus T plus 27, nothing but 97 minus T. So this term and this term will be cancelled. Now our simplification is very simple. Here only one unknown is capital T. When we solve this capital T, we will get its value as 37 degrees centigrade. So the final outlet temperature of water is 37 degrees centigrade. And this is our answer. So we finished this question, and thanks for watching. We'll do many such interesting conceptual questions, and this is my favorite question of this day. We should have learned many things from here. This is very important for interview. It seems like an easy question, but it is very important to learn some concept. Okay, thanks for watching. Stay tuned, stay updated. Daily we'll be doing such good conceptual questions as quiz.